right in front of your face are two players I don't go near in 2021 fantasy football. I'm going to tell you why to stay away from DeAndre Swift and Diontae Johnson. Why I won't touch either player in 2021, the Fantasy Football Show begins now.
This is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Smitty.
Top 5 running back. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show. Smitty. Take a lap. Heading into January and February, when we start kicking off early mock drafting like we recklessly do every single offseason, DeAndre Swift was going at number 13 or 14 overall. People drafting Akers and Swift back-to-back. People tended to draft Swift when they drafted Akers. It's something to do with that undervalued, underrated, underdog running back. People attracted to Akers are attracted to Swift. It's a weird correlation.
Smitty, what are you, a psychologist now?
Yes, Michael2145B on IG. I have a psych degree, and I'm telling you right now, all of you Akers owners are attracted to Swift. It's your type. It's time to let Swift go. The red flags are through the roof. Again, early mock drafting, he went at 12, 13, 14. They get rid of Stafford. They let Golladay go. People start coming around. He drops all the way to like 3.2, 3.4. But he's climbing again. I don't know why. People think he's going to get volume, but let me tell you something. Let me tell you the only thing you need to know. The Lions don't produce elite running backs. They haven't since Barry Sanders. But Smitty, he's going to get all the volume. They're going to be running him a lot. Let me tell you something. The Lions will barely move the chains. When you don't move the chains, you don't get into the red zone. When you don't get into the red zone, you don't score touchdowns. Scoring opportunities for Swift, just wipe them off the table. Don't even get excited about his touchdown category. The Lions will be lucky to win 2 games in 2021. Even Hawkinson goes down in my mind. The only bright spot for this team, he came up with Stafford. He built a rapport with Stafford, not Goff. Wide receivers changing teams is very difficult, and wide receivers getting new quarterbacks is very difficult. This is horrible news for Hawkinson fans, man. And I'm one of the biggest you can probably find. Out of just 12 bold predictions I produce every year, Hawkinson and Waller were 2 of those 12 in 2020. I love Hawkinson. TJ Hawkinson's my boy, but I'm not excited about his 2021. I'm not excited about any of these Detroit Lion players. If that wasn't enough for you, if you needed more information, Lions OC Anthony Lynn referred to running back Jamal Williams as the classic A-back and referred to Swift as the classic B-back. Lynn said,
"My A-backs are normally my bigger backs.
They can run between the tackles, block probably a little better than the B-back, Swift. They can run the perimeter. I can leave those guys in there for all 3 downs." Why do you believe in Swift? If you are a Swift owner, I'm looking directly at you in the eye. Why do you believe in him? Why? The Lions don't produce running backs. And if you think, oh, that can change, maybe it can. But is it really going to change? Is the streak going to get broken on a team that traded away their quarterback and got Goff in return? On a team that let Golladay go and the entire offense goes flat? This is the time you come out to predict, since Barry Sanders, there hasn't been a good running back, but guess what? Now's the time. I can leave those guys in there for all 3 downs. His A-back. Jamal's my A-back, he says. My A and B running backs. Jamal's my A-back. I can leave them in all 3 downs. Just run those suckers out there. I'll tie Swift to the clothesline. He'll run back and forth and play by himself. But Williams is my A-back, baby. I'll leave that guy in the game. I'm not saying Swift doesn't start. I'm not saying he does. I'm definitely not saying he does. I don't know what to make of this situation. Even though he's no longer 12 or 13 overall, this has the most red flags out of any running back situation in 2021. Without question, if you are hanging on to DeAndre Swift for whatever reason, it has to be driven by some kind of sentimental value, or you own him in 3 dynasty leagues and you're just digging your heels in, there's no reason you should believe in DeAndre Swift or the Lions attack in 2021. Lynn did label DeAndre Swift as the speed back, reaffirming that he sees the duo more as being complementary than interchangeable. How on earth is anybody even contemplating this man in the 3rd round, let alone the bottom of the 2nd? We do mock drafts. I've seen Swift go in the middle of round 2, at the top of round 2. I feel an obligation to go and do a no Swift video. Say 10,000 times, no DeAndre, no DeAndre, no DeAndre. I'm gonna do it. I think I'll do it this weekend. I may do it tomorrow. I will say no DeAndre 10,000 times. Every year I pick one movement, one player, one fantasy football cause that I think needs more attention. If I can stop one owner from overpaying and ruining their fantasy football season, it's worth it to me. So put it on your calendar. My no 10,000 time video is going to be DeAndre Swift, and I'll probably do it at some point this week. Get ready for it. Should take me hours to say no DeAndre, no DeAndre, no DeAndre. That one gets me worked up. That one gets me really worked up because people defend it like you're a moron when you say no DeAndre Swift in even the 3rd round. They go, wait, in the comments. Wait. Did you say no DeAndre? Why don't you like DeAndre Swift, Smitty? It never fails. It's in my comments. People get upset. I can understand you liking DeAndre and going, I disagree with you. People actually, their jaw drops. They're like, whoa, you don't like DeAndre? Let's move on to Diontae. And if you're wondering what this is in the corner here, I have 28 days, 19 hours, and 22 minutes and 52 seconds to get ripped, or you guys are going to ridicule me on my live and shame me. I've asked you to. This will motivate me to work out. I urge you all to get in shape with me. We got 28 days. I'm running twice a day. I'm eating a little better. I'm working out every single day, and I plan to transform my guns on the live stream
right in front of your face.
I'm gonna work out for a whole month, and I dropped the ball. So here's me putting the pressure on myself. I now have 28 days to get absolutely ripped, or you get to rip me, and I'll take a darn lap if I don't get ripped in front of your face. Diontae Johnson is another curious case of what the hell are you thinking? Now, I understand you might like Diontae, 24-year-old wide receiver that pulled in 88 receptions for 923 and 7 TDs in 2020. And he had 144 targets. He was a target hog. The man has hands of stone. But Jerry Jeudy drops footballs. You can't just say a guy drops footballs, he's garbage. I'm not saying that at all. This is one component of a lot of issues in a row like DeAndre Swift. There are red flags everywhere you look. 3 wide receivers to contend with: Juju, Claypool. Now you have Najee Harris, a PPR, potential running back, coming in to an offense that wants to run the football more than ever. You have an aging quarterback in Big Ben who may not be able to deliver and force feed wide receivers like he has been in the past. What made the Steeler wide receivers so successful is Big Ben would just force the football to him over and over. And if Big Ben went down, Antonio Brown in his prime would vanish from the top 10 wide receivers like that. And everybody's gonna say, oh, but this is different. Deontay's so talented. Some news wires reported this and people kind of didn't like the way that it was worded, but he supposedly got benched at one point during the year. But regardless, even if he's installed as the wide receiver 2 there, will the wide receiver 2 in Pittsburgh earn the ADP that is now held by a man named Diontae Johnson? Diontae Johnson's climbed into the 4.11 to 5.05 range. His ADP is nearly in the 4th round as a 4th drafted player. I'm not saying he can't be the number 1 wide receiver on the team, but you could make an actual argument that he's the number 3 receiver on his team, and some of you are actually drafting him at the tail end of the 4th round. Out of all the wide receivers there in Pittsburgh, Claypool is the most likely to find Big Ben's errant passes and probably come down with big catches and big plays and touchdowns. In my opinion, Claypool is the most likely wide receiver to survive the end days of Big Ben. Pittsburgh's going to run a ton. They're going to lean on Najee Harris, and there's no way these three wide receivers can survive. And it's really hard for me to imagine one of them continuously outshining the other two. It'll probably be some kind of rotation. I'm not going anywhere near Diontae in the 4th or 5th round in 2021. You're talking before Brandon Ayuk, before Justin Herbert at quarterback, before T. Higgins, before Claypool. He's going in front of Michael Carter, probably ETN. When I'm put in a position where I got to take Diontae or a player I truly believe in like Herbert and go early QB in round 5, I'm going Herbert all day long. I would draft Trey Sermon before I draft Diontae Johnson. And for the casual out there, shout out to you. That might seem dumb at the moment. Hold the beer, take the receipt and screenshot, and show up here come November, December and tell me how things are looking then. I get many of you are going to want to support these guys if you own them in a dynasty team. If you've already rostered them, I get the pain. I understand the kung fu grip of bias you might have attached to Swift and Diontae if you already own them in an existing league. I get it. My job's to try and help you step away from the bias you might have, react, and I've got great news for you. Sell high. Because if they're getting overdrafted, that means you can get rid of them in a trade and sell high. DeAndre Swift and Diontae Johnson, my two biggest avoid players in 2021 that sit outside the top 25 overall. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Get on over to Smitty1.com if you want more of my content, my audio podcast. I keep getting messages. Smitty, do you have an audio pod? Have you not tried to type in the Fantasy Football Show into Spotify to find me? But I got it all here. If you're lazy, Smitty1.com. I take care of you. All my links to everything in one place. And text me at heysmitty.com. On-demand texting. Look, I even got two phones. My personal phone. This phone is just for my text message subscribers. Only people that subscribe to my heysmitty.com messaging service have access to this phone. I carry it around everywhere I go. Where do you ask? Where do I go to text you on demand? heysmitty.com. And join me every Tuesday and Thursday for my 2-hour show, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. every single Tuesday and Thursday right here on the channel. If you ever get lost, go to Smitty1.com or thefantasyfootballshow.com. Comment below and tell me what you think of my two biggest avoids for players outside the top 25, DeAndre Swift and Diontae Johnson.
This is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Smitty.
Top 5 running back. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show. I'm Smitty.